Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends. I'm with the beautiful, gorgeous, and irresistible ultimate fashionista, Emily Martin. Bonjour.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Well, even better because I have my little Frenchie, and he's flirting with your little.
My little Ernestine, she's not, she's a little new at this flirting game, so if she's misbehaving, that's why.
Well, she never misbehaves. She's like you. So, what came your love for Frenchies?
Well, I got lucky. I sort of, I co-parent Ernestine with my dear friends in San Francisco, and you know, they had some children, and as you saw, she likes all the attention, so we share her, so I don't have any children, so she gets to be the apple of my eye.
Ooh la la, she's a lucky girl. How does she react when you wear leopard print?
Oh,
She's looking at Frenchie, she wants him. Well, cheers.
Yes.
Let's have a glass of bubble.
Yes, she does like leopard.
I could tell. I love the emotion, the interaction of the two Frenchies. As you can all see, we're making a ultimate match. And this is the perfect match. I feel they really love each other passionately, don't you?
Who needs Bumble when you have JCB bubbles to bring the Frenchies together? Oh, and we have Frenchie. It's like
That's
very
it.
serendipitous.
So, dear friends, we are at the Ink House, who happens to be our new acquisition, a fabulous hotel, you know, which was started by a great family, the Castellucci, but it dates back as far as 1885.
Wow.
It was called the Ink House because of the family, the Ink family. And this was the Helios Ranch. So an amazing estate in Napa. So to our new place, when you're gonna come?
Whenever there's availability, I will be here. I cannot wait to drink some wine. I did a quick tour, guys, before we started filming, and it's spectacular, like everything JCB does. There's splashes of leopards, glitz, glamour, wine. I think I saw wine in every room.
Absolutely.
And you were talking about silk sheets.
Of course.
Yeah.
We want it to be so soft and seductive and spontaneously emotional that you dive into our world the moment you come in.
Well, I'll be coming in soon. I'm planning, I think, my early winter retreat to Napa.
Ooh la la. So tell us about how you started. You have an incredible history in fashion for Bloomingdale's and many other great department stores, and
Yeah.
your world is fashion. So how did you start your own phenomenal blog and business and lines?
Great question. So yeah, I started in New York. I worked at Bloomingdale's for over a decade, Louis Vuitton, Tiffany, and all.
Just to name a few minor brands.
You know, actually, that's how I got into leopard. I thank Louis Vuitton for my love for leopard. And I was always interested in wine as a consumer. I started a wine club in New York, and my girlfriends would come, and I would print out all these facts and ask questions. And they were like, do we actually have to learn? I thought we were just going to drink wine. And I'm like, no, we're learning. So when I moved to California, it was just a no-brainer. Well, actually, I started the blog in 2009. I moved to California in 2012. And as you know, I've probably seen you at all of the amazing events in wine country.
That's
There's
right.
so many amazing events. It's very easy to immerse yourself if you love it and you like sharing people's stories like yours.
And how is it to just start your own business like this? As a young lady coming west, as a true entrepreneur, true pioneer, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so I started it in 2009. I was working at Louis Vuitton, and in New York, like having a blog is not, it wasn't frowned upon, but I was in a very corporate role. So that was like my weekend gig.
Yeah.
And then when I came to California and worked for Gap Inc., all of my coworkers were like, oh my God, you have a blog, that's so cool. And it was just like welcomed, and it was just a different California mentality versus New York. But yeah, so I started my own business, Emily Martin Communications and Events, in 2014. So I guess I've had that for 8 years and the blog for 12.
That's exciting.
So like you, I have a lot of different, my fingers in a lot of different candy jars or bottles of wine, and it's fun. It keeps me very busy.
So what made you leave New York to go to San Francisco, of all places?
Well, I had been in New York a decade, and I hit that 10-year mark, and I wasn't married. I was single, you know, living the life. And someone said to me, you know, if you don't leave, you're going to be an old lady with a cat. And I was like, first of all, I don't like cats, but I saw where they were.
Well, it could have been an old woman with a Frenchie Bulldog.
I know, which now I am, and I love that. I don't know.
Young woman.
I spent a lot of time in San Francisco with Louis Vuitton, and I love the city. It reminds me a lot of Chicago. And honestly, the draw was the accessibility to wine country.
That's right. And how did you get to love wine so much? And why bubbles? Because you have a fashionista fascination for bubbles.
I mean, what is not to love? First of all, the color. I think when I first learned about wine, I thought champagne was really only for special occasions. I think I remember the first time I had a bottle of Dom Perignon. I was like 25 at this restaurant in Chicago, this like seafood spot, and my friend's dad treated us, and it was like the most mind-blowing experience. I don't know, something about bubbles, like you feel like you're treating yourself, whether it's a $100 bottle or like a nice, you know, everyday drinking, like $35 bottle.
Like this one.
Yeah. And it,
like haute couture.
Yeah.
Made for the fashionista, right?
yeah, I think it's like, why not celebrate life every day?
I think we should all open a bottle of bubbles daily. This is why we're going to try quite an assortment. What do you think about this design? I was very fortunate to be able to draw it on a piece of paper, dream it. And what does it remind you of as you're in fashion?
Well, I love the texture because I feel like the netting. So it sort of reminds me of like netting stockings, which I'm guessing that's what you were thinking. And obviously the gold. I mean, I have gold all over my house. I have gold accents in my kitchen. My logo is gold. I love gold. So I think it's just like fun, elegant, a little bit of like provocateur.
Yes, I like that. Without the agent. I'm the agent.
Very true.
So you go to Champagne a lot as well.
I've been a few times.
Yes. So tell us about that experience and why bubble is the essence of who you are.
Well, I'm sure, well, actually you do read my blog because I see
Absolutely.
and you read my newsletter. So as I like to say, as my followers know, I love Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. So champagne is usually made from Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, at least the traditional blend, and a little bit of Pinot Meunier. So I think Champagne, first of all, it's a very accessible, welcoming region, as you know. They roll out the red carpet. They definitely want Americans to come, and they want to show you an amazing time.
That's the train. Hey, dear friends, this is November 12th. We're in Napa Valley. Beautiful weather. Isn't it great? Have you actually been on the train?
I have not. Have you?
Yes, I love the train.
Yeah?
This is one of my favorite. Maybe it's because I'm a boy, and when you're a child, you build your own train. And, you know, in Europe too, we use the train to do everything and to go anywhere. I mean, I went to high school by train.
Really?
I walked from the house and went to the train station, and there I was in the classroom. So we use the train all the time.
Yeah. No, I like the element of the train, but I don't know. I need to do it, I guess. I've heard wonderful
We'll
things.
do it together, and we'll have it stop in front of the Ink House.
Perfect. When I come visit the Ink House, we'll do that. That'll be a part of our weekend itinerary.
Why not? It's like the Orient Express in Napa Valley. It's the Napa Valley Express.
Do they serve bubbles on there?
Absolutely, in our bubbles.
Oh, perfect.
Voila.
Definitely need to hit up the train.
So you were saying Champagne is part of your phenomenal destination.
It's amazing. I was telling you I interviewed Fred Panayiotis, I always say his last name wrong, Chef de Cava Brunard in San Francisco, the roof of the Proper Hotel. It's a gorgeous setting for an interview. And he invited me to Champagne, and I said, well, great, I'd love to come. And there's just so many maisons and such unique experiences. I've mostly been to the big maisons, so I definitely next time I want to visit the small growers and tell those stories, because I think there's
such a big trend.
Yeah, there's just such a variance. I mean, obviously, like the Veuve Clicquot, the maison is amazing, and if you go to Champagne, you want to see that. And I've been to Dom and Krug and Be a Cart, which is near and dear to my heart. But I also want to like share the voice of the smaller people. That's what I try to focus my blog on, like telling other people's stories that might not have as big of a marketing budget as the Veuve Clicquots of the world, but their wine is just as spectacular in quality and potentially even better.
So tell us about the Jet Setting Fashionista. One, a great name, very catchy. And obviously because you've been in the fashion world, you call it that way, but tell us more.
Yeah, so it started in 2009. I was working in fashion at Louis Vuitton, and I always had these lists of where to go in London, Paris, and people would go somewhere and email me and ask me where to go. And then I was like, the light went off. I was on a plane flying to Paris to meet my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, I should just start a blog and put everything in one spot. So I did that. And yeah, it truly took off when I came to California because there was just so much wine content. And like you meet people like you, and I just love sharing stories. And I mean, this is like such a treat because I've been a fan of yours as long as I've met you. I've
Thank
written
you.
about Raymond. I've written about the JCB Lounge San Francisco.
Merci
I went
beaucoup.
to, was it your 45th birthday a couple years ago or 40th?
That's right, 35.
35th. I was at your party. I mean, you are just like such an inspiration and you're so authentic and genuine in your like pure spontaneity, creativity, and like
It
passion.
feels so good to hear. Thank you.
This was not planned. So yeah, so I think it takes a lot of like courage and oomph to have that tenacity, and a lot of people can't do it and feel
Yes.
like they're doing it genuine, and you are.
Thank you. But I'm so impressed by the content you provide and how phenomenal it is. So explain some of our friends who may be in Asia, who may be in Europe, who haven't seen it yet, what they may encounter
Great
onto your
question.
fabulous page. And at the meantime, dear friends, look at what we do in the wine country when we move to the next wine. Hopla! I know Frenchie was going to have it, so I didn't want him to have too much bubbles.
We should
today.
have bowls for the dogs. Ernie likes Bud Light, but I haven't really given her much wine.
Oh,
but...
Frenchie only likes Passion, which is the next wine.
Oh.
And you'll see how.
Perfect.
So, dear friends, when you were with a beautiful lady or beautiful man or what have you, let's let it go. Do you want to push it?
Sure.
Woo! She's done that a few times.
So to answer your question, I write about wine. So I have a top 10 list for most regions of California, top 10 Napa Valley. You guys are in my top 10 St. Helena, Oakville, Sonoma, Healdsburg. I love to interview winemakers. I've actually never interviewed you.
What a pity.
So,
Well,
would you accept?
we
Shall
have
we
a
do an
date.
interview?
Absolutely.
Cheers.
I'm honored. I'll be on the Fashionista.
I like the dryness of this and the acidity. So yeah, and there's a ton of hotel coverage. So a luxury traveler needs to know where to stay. So if you're looking to stay in Champaign, California, Chicago, Europe, wherever it might be, I usually have a recommendation. And yeah, I also have great gift guides. So I'm about to release my holiday gift guide.
Aha.
10 of my favorite brands, perfect for gift giving.
So this is really a magazine online, really. I mean, you provide so much content. I'm so impressed. As you know, I open the pages and read it religiously.
No, he does read my weekly email.
Do you have other people contributing to you as well as writers?
Well, I have a team of interns, actually. So I basically curate everything, and they will help. You know how it is, all the uploading, and I'm on WordPress. So it's a lot of behind the scenes that you guys don't really know about at home. And then obviously like the voice and the point of view
Yes.
and the content, I'm like, oh, XYZ, no, I would never write about that. So we're not going to put that on the blog. But it's very intentional and focused about brands and people I want to talk about.
So besides Champagne, what's your most amazing latest travel that you should engage all of us to go to?
Well, I haven't traveled much during shelter in place during COVID, but
maybe before that, or some of the place we have to go besides the Ink House in Napa Valley.
well,
of
the Ink
course.
House is next on my bucket list. But Labor Day, I did have the pleasure of going to Todos Santos,
Ooh.
and I stayed at this glamorous hotel, the Paradero Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Instagrammable. It's all over Vogue, Architectural Digest. So that was spectacular. And then my last international trip before that was Mexico City. Have you been there?
Wow, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Love Mexico City.
Such a foodie capital. Basically, I was there for 3 days, and all we did was eat and drink. I stayed at the Four Seasons, which is spectacular.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to do as much culture as I had hoped because a lot was closed on the weekends. So I need to go back to Mexico City to experience the culture.
So Mexico, you're a big fan.
Love Mexico.
Baja California.
Yeah.
And all the way down.
I haven't spent much time in like the Baja wine region of Mexico,
Yes.
but I'm dying to go there.
For sure.
But yeah, I grew up in Chicago, and Mexico is just like a direct flight.
And what are the latest trends in travel? Besides, let's erase the last 18 months
Yeah.
because they're unusual, but let's go back to the time that we've all enjoyed and loved.
Pre-COVID.
And so what are the destinations that you think we should all be thinking about?
Let's see.
Is it
well,
the Seychelles?
obviously California wine country.
Good.
Duh. You live in Napa. I live in Healdsburg. They are both phenomenal. They have different elements and different vibes. So like anyone that likes luxury food and wine, you should spend time in both of them. Outside of here, Let me think. Well, I'm actually cruising with Celebrity next week on their newest ship
Great.
to the Bahamas, so that's obviously going to be a must-do. Where have I been that's new and exciting before that? God, it feels like travel was so long ago.
What about the islands? So Bahamas, of course, yeah.
Bahamas are great. Caribbean. I do have to say I love the Caribbean, but after you get spoiled in Mexico with the service, because the service you'll be like, I think I want a beer, and then someone like brings you a beer. In the Bahamas, you're like, yoo-hoo, can I order please? And then it's like 10 minutes and you order, and then it's 10 minutes and then you have a Mai Tai. So, actually Hawaii, I'm going to Hawaii for Thanksgiving. So I think Hawaii's a great must. But international, I'm a little rusty on where I should go.
So you're traveling every other week, more or less?
It's not always that busy. This just happens to be a busy month.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience in the fashion industry, because you really, started your whole adult life working in the fashion world.
Yeah, so it started in high school. I worked at Gap, and then I worked a few summers at Nordstrom, and then I had a lovely opportunity with Barney's New York, which sadly, rest in peace, is no longer. And then I got a job with Bloomingdale's, and 9/11 was my second day of work in the training program. So you guys can figure out my age. I'm like 32 and change.
22.
Yeah, I loved it. Like, I love Bloomingdale's. When they say that it's like a family, it really is. Bloomingdale's, Michael Gould was the CEO, I think all 12 years I was there. It's so fun. You get to meet, it's sort of like you encounter so many different personalities. I would get to meet so many different brands. Somehow Ralph Lauren was in every single department I bought. Jewelry, sunglasses, baby, women's, men's. Like, there's certain vendors that are just across the board.
That's amazing. Yeah.
But it was really fun because you get, I started as an assistant buyer in designer handbags and worked throughout the buying world. I was in planning, and Bloomingdale's is amazing. And then I went to Louis Vuitton, also an amazing brand. And they're very different. Louis Vuitton is a lot more international.
Yes.
So I was assorting for, I think, 134 North American, Canada, and Hawaii stores at the time.
Wow.
Runway accessories, men's tie, handbag, jewelry, not handbags. It was awesome. You learn a lot from big brands like that. Obviously, LVMH knows what they're doing.
Yes.
And they have a lot of streamlined processes.
Yes.
And I got to travel a lot. That's how I fell in love with San Francisco.
And where do you see the evolution of fashion these days? Because we've moved into a pretty casual world for a while. For the obvious reasons, but still, are people coming back to elegant, casual chic? What we love to call here Napa chic.
I mean, you and I like to dress up. So I think yes, you're going to up your yoga game during the day when you're sitting at home Zooming. Everybody jokes that they have the above the waist outfit and then their below the waist outfit.
Ooh la la.
But I think people want an excuse to go out and get dressed. Like, for example, I threw a Pinot Noir event in San Francisco, Pinots and Plaid, and it was very fancy, and everyone dressed up in plaid. People loved it. As you know, people like themes.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think it's going to come back. I don't know if 5 days a week people are going to put on their
And what
go to the
style
office
do you
wear?
think people like to wear these days? Give us a true sense of the evolution of fashion.
Well, I think it's high and low. So if you're wearing low casual clothes at home during the day, at night you're excited to dress up. Now that the Montage is open in Healdsburg, I love going there for a drink and just putting on my leopard wear, putting on my Louis Vuitton shoes and a nice bag.
So you know where to go where you want to meet Emily, the Montage.
I'll be at the Montage. I do spend a lot of time at the Matheson.
Yes.
Another new spot in Healdsburg from Dustin Valent, which is spectacular. Have you been yet?
Yes.
I'm surprised I didn't see you there.
Yes.
I'm there 2 to 3 days a week.
Wow. We'll have to match the schedule next time.
Yes.
And we have the Oakville Grocery at the corner of it. So,
I know.
Which is a great place as well to go.
It's Ernie's favorite spot. We'll go there in the afternoon and get a bite and sit outside and work.
That's right.
She gets a lot of pets.
What a view. Yeah.
Yeah, Oakville Groceries. I'm sad that you closed the JCB Bubble Lounge in Healdsburg because that was my favorite spot for bubbles.
That's right.
Will it be coming back?
Well, maybe not in Healdsburg. We're opening a new one in Santa Elena.
Oh.
And in Calistoga. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm curious about this Calistoga project. I heard about that.
Yeah, that's going to be the depot. So it's going to be an amazing destination based on distilling and brewing.
No bubbles?
And bubbles and caviar and all of the above. But stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of information on it very soon.
Good.
So you've always loved wearing leopard prints?
Well, it started with my love at Louis Vuitton. And then I think meeting you, like I feel like if I know I'm going to see you, I have to wear leopard in honor of you. So
Thank
that's
you.
why I'm wearing this today.
I love it.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! So, what do you think of this wine? Late Disgorge 2013 Carnero's JCB Passion.
Well, I love the label. Amazing. I love all the different words. What is this called when the words are dispersed like that? There's like some word for it.
Aha. Well, I'm not sure.
It's some marketing word. Well, I love it. Passion,
A collage,
luscious. Let's taste it. Let's see. Cheers.
To seduction, passion, opulence. Chardonnay Pinot blend
Ooh,
for you.
It just gets richer and richer, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is this aged a little bit longer than the
8
first two?
years.
8
8 years. 2013
8
vintage. 8 années. Can you believe?
Est-ce qu'il est possible pour parler le français, s'il vous
Bien
plaît?
sûr, bien sûr. On continue en français. Tout va bien?
Pas nécessaire. I did study 7 years, but I'm a bit rusty
Well, I think you're very good. We will practice a little more.
when I stay at the Ink House.
Of course. So, where do you see, United States fashion versus European fashion? Because I know there's a big difference in style, and the French tend to, or the English, or
The
obviously
English, do
the
they
Italian.
have I wouldn't really think
Alexander
of the English.
McQueen.
Okay.
And many.
I mean, and the
Vivienne
royalties, they
Westwoods.
always look great.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great question. I feel like I'm very out of touch with European versus American fashion
Yes.
because I haven't really
What about both coasts?
well, that's a good question. I do think like being a coastal person, I grew up in Chicago, love the Midwest,
Yeah.
spent 12 years in New York, and now I'm a West Coast gal. There's definitely a more relaxed vibe in California. Ernie, stop growling. That's your boyfriend. So yeah.
They're going to be dating over haute couture later.
Yeah, little does she know that this is going to be an arranged marriage. So yeah, I think like everything, the coast sort of get trends quicker, and then it like slowly gets to the Midwest. I'll never forget when I was at Bloomingdale's, one of my VPs, we were talking about like blue shirts being trendy for men, solid blue.
Mm-hmm.
This was maybe like 07 or 08. And she's like, well, give Mall of America a year and then they'll understand the trend. And that just meant like it starts on the coast and then it works its way in. And yeah.
But it's quicker than ever with the internet these days. I think
know,
people
internet
are really...
shopping is definitely changing the whole element. I mean, I used to like to go and like I'd have a personal shopper at Bloomingdale's, David Lisbon, I love you. And he'd pick out all these things for me and then I'd go and spend an hour trying them on. They didn't have your bubbles though. That would be an opportunity. Bloomingdale's.
Can you work on it for us?
Bloomingdale's, can you have some bubbles please for the personal shopping guests? And it was great. But now I think we're all just like, there's not enough time in the day that like to put 20 things in your cart, try them on and keep 3. I'm the queen of returning.
Yeah.
I buy a lot, I try it on, and then I'm like, okay. You get the thrill of shopping, like you maybe spend $4,000 and you're like, oh God. You get that thrill as a woman that, we all want to spend money and shop. And then when you return it, it's even more thrilling because you get the money back and you only keep like 2 things you liked.
I like this idea.
It's a weird, although
Maybe we'll go shopping
it's not
together.
sustainable. I was listening to a podcast. This habit of all the online shopping and UPS and FedEx delivering 17 boxes a house per day, maybe like 5, and it's mostly wine. It's not good for the environment. So it's not good for the footprint.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But as a shopper, it's easier than having to drive to San Francisco and go to Bloomingdale's. That would take me 4 hours from Healdsburg.
So talking about inspiration, what does inspire you? Not only to write on your fabulous, I would say
Digital
online
magazine.
Digital magazine.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, people, stories, like original stories. Honestly, it's not that hard to make good wine. So to me, it's like a no-brainer. If a winery has good wine, I'm like, well, no shit, excuse the French. You better have good wine if that's your business. A story, like I love it. Like I'm like, there's 10 things at a winery, like the family dog, the vintner, the owners, the history, obviously the winemaker. If people don't talk about the winemaker, I'm like, well, hello, like who took these beautiful grapes and created this?
That's right.
And then like the personality, the guest experience. I spent a lot of time wine tasting, and the times where like they'll remember you and have met you 2 years ago. I'll never forget. I stayed at Los El Cabos Hotel, and my friend Michael, who I'd met in San Francisco at a restaurant, knew that I loved the Fela Pinot Noir. So I got to my room and there was a bottle of Fela Pinot Noir,
Oh, that's
and I'm
so
like,
nice.
Michael, we
Ultimate
drank that
service.
2 years ago in San Francisco at a restaurant opening. He's like, I know, but it's your favorite. I'm like, so just like touches like that. Once again, back to the Pinot Chardonnay. But so yeah, and I think just like, I don't like it when it's very rehearsed. So I think like in the hospitality world, brands that do a good job training their staff, like,
Yes.
okay, you obviously know what you're talking about for wine, so don't make me sit down and tell me everything I'm smelling. Like, first of all, give me a minute to smell it myself. And then if we want to
Yes.
talk about it, let's have a dialogue. Like, what do you smell? But don't just be like, oh, there's lemon, honey blossom in this. Like, it's pre-recorded. To me, I'm like, well, no shit. I know what I'm smelling.
I love
So
it.
I think it's a combination of like personal touches,
Yes.
expertise, knowing how to read the room. Like, have you been to Single Thread?
Yes.
They do such a phenomenal job. Like, literally, like, your phone will be like removed off the table and the napkin will be refolded and you won't have even seen them encounter you. But then when you want to encounter them, they're like there and you're having a conversation and dialogue. So I think like seamless, invisible service,
Yes.
as
It's
well
ultimate
as engaged.
luxury. I totally agree with you. Now, tell us about your love for French Bulldogs.
Well, it's
Do
a
you
fair-
love Frenchmen as much as French Bulldogs or not really?
I don't know. I've never had a love affair with a Frenchman, so I cannot answer that question. But I
The
think,
wor- you haven't lived yet.
I mean, I do love a lot of French winemakers, so you guys know who you
Oh,
are.
that's a good start.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of French winemakers that I've had wonderful memories with, and they've shared their story. And I mean, when you get to go to a champagne house and they spend an hour or two with you, I feel very blessed.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I sort of just had some amazing friends that had an amazing dog, and we share her. And I mean, she does have her quirks, as you saw. She doesn't necessarily like other
She's
Frenchies.
showing me her lovely tongue. It's very French.
That's her signature move. I don't know. They're so cute, and she's just little. I can just lift her and bring
I
her.
know.
Like, you know, she wine tastes with me. She stays at hotels with me. So I do think the evolution of travel, back to your earlier question, I think owners don't want to travel without their pets now.
That's
we got
right.
so used to being with our pets during COVID that, like, I mean, I'll board her occasionally, but if I can bring her with me, we just stayed at the Intercontinental a couple weeks ago, and I brought her. Intercontinental Mark Hopkins, which is so cool and historic.
Yeah.
It was a great idea until it rained the whole night, and then I have to walk her like 3 times in the rain.
That's who I saw on Nob Hill.
Yes.
Walking your dogs. Ooh la la. Now, what's your dream? Big question for all of you. Pre-Thanksgiving, pre-Christmas, what's the dream? The dream of the year, the dream of next year, the dream for your life?
Oh my goodness, I didn't prepare for this one.
Besides meeting a Frenchman, of course.
Yes.
Besides
So,
a French Bulldog.
Number 1, I'm going to interview John Charles. Let's say like within the next quarter. We're going to put a timeline on it.
course.
Number 2, I want to stay at the Ink House. Number
Those are good dreams.
If you don't ask, you don't get. Number 3, I think just like continuing to do what I love. Like
Yes.
this is so much fun. I think a lot of people don't understand like what it means to be a blogger. Like nobody's like paying us to do this. Like we're
Yes.
just sharing our time and drinking wine and doing amazing content together. But I think being able to do what you love and share people's stories and have a wonderful quality of life, like my dream would be able to continue to do that and continue to have like a sustainable business with Emily Martin Events where I do get paid.
That's right. So tell us about that, because you do great events and that's what you create, and
Yeah.
communication and events. So
Yeah.
everybody knows about your great
I
company.
actually have an idea. Perfect.
Aha.
Put John Charles on the spot again.
I love it.
So I do marketing and events. So when you think of like who does the social media for someone, who does the email newsletter, who does the blog content, who does Pinterest, I do that for brands, mostly restaurants, wineries, hospitality. I have some landscape architecture clients, which is super fun. You know, someone made these beautiful grounds.
Yes.
And then that's like the marketing component. And then I do events. So in 2019, I had a Pinot Noir event in San Francisco called Pinots and Plaid.
Ooh.
It was like Pebble Beach meets Pigs and Pinot meets World of Pinot. It was the best of all of those elements in San Francisco at the gorgeous Hibernia Bank, which is this very historic bank.
Yes.
It has all these like stained glasses in the ceiling. There's vaults. You'd like pop out of a vault with champagne. It was amazing. 25 Pinot Noir producers: William Sellium, Cobb, Blue Farm, Dunstan, Gary Farrell, Three Sticks, like all of my faves in a room together.
Fantastic.
So what I'm actually doing for 2022.
But JCB was not there,
But
just
you don't-
to let you know.
Oh, you're right. Well, you're not. Oh.
Oh, we don't make
Oh,
Pinot?
busted!
No. Ooh la la, I
Well,
got her.
Busted.
Now we know what's going to be
Busted.
next.
But the prereq is I had to interview the vintner to be invited. Oh, okay. Now we've come full circle. So, but what I'm doing, which could be really fun for 2022, I feel like San Francisco is not totally ready for a big I'm not ready to throw an event like that in San Francisco. But I think there's so many amazing nooks and crannies in wine country that I want to do like exactly what we're doing with like 40 or 50 people having dinner.
That's right.
In beautiful places. So
here
like,
on the lawn.
Right. So maybe we
Here
do
we
a
are.
bubbles and Pinot here. So I'm going to be doing that.
I love this idea. The train is back, dear friends.
Choo choo.
Choo choo.
So I think events are, it's so fun. Like I have access to so many cool people like you that to me it's like a no-brainer. Like if you make beautiful wine, if you have a good story and you're fun, you have to be fun. That's also my
right.
prereq.
Yes.
If you're not fun, I can't do anything with that.
So dear friends, you're going to be soon invited to a Pinot and Bubbles on the lawn. And Pinot and Bubbles.
Yes, maybe like
somewhere.
the summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we should do the summer. So stay tuned, guys. But yeah, so that's sort of the event component.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then I do Instagram lives, like what we're doing today.
I love it. So where shall people go for the Instagram Live?
So my Instagram is Jet Setting Fashionista, and my events business for all the Pinots and Champagne events is Emily Martin Events. So you can follow me on Instagram, Pinterest. I have a weekly newsletter, which I've got some very dedicated readers of. I just love the analytics. I love being able to see who reads your emails.
Exactly.
It's like the most rewarding thing to be like, oh my God, Charles read my email. Ernie doesn't have an email yet, but she will. Ernie read my email.
Oh, Frenchie has one. Frenchie's reading it too. You know, he has his own winery, as you know.
Well, yeah, and we went to Raymond to have those beautiful, the pastry pop-up.
That's right.
Could we have them come for our dinner? Because those cakes were amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Done.
Cheers. Ernie went with me for that.
So, Emily, now a big message to the world. Because we are in 2021. There's only roughly 50 days left for the year.
Oh my gosh.
And then we transition in to 2022, which may be a lot better than 2021, right?
Let's hope so.
So what's your big message
Oh my
to
gosh.
the world?
Okay.
You're on the spot.
Well, I would say...
And Dylan is zooming into your charm and your beauty and your style.
Cheers,
so he's
Dylan.
getting very close to you.
I think for 2021, I mean, continue to do what brings you joy. In my case, it's obviously drinking wine and hanging out with wonderful people. I would do as much of that as you can because life is very short and you never know what's going to happen. And see the world. Like I'm going to Ojai this weekend. I'm going to Hawaii next week. I'm going to Greece this summer for my best friend's 40th belated. Yeah, I mean, you know, 401ks, what are those? Like spend your money on things that bring you joy, shop, support local, and yeah, just do what makes you happy.
Ooh la la! Don't we love her? The fashionista, jet setting fashionista, Emily. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for having me and Ernie.
Well, to many bubbles and to them now.
Yes,
mating and dating.
Their arranged marriage has begun.
That's it.